Do you have a quilter's friend that you need to get a Christmas gift for? Or someone that wants to start out on quilting? Today, we're going to talk about several gift ideas that you can get for your quilting friends or people that want to learn how to quilt. Hello and welcome. I am Jackie with Jackie Russell Creates, where we talk about everything quilting and sewing. I give tips, tricks, and techniques for that next quilting project of yours. If you want to learn more about quilting or some gifts to give to a quilting friend, hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. In the meantime, let's get started on these gift ideas. There are several gifts that you can get that are inexpensive for someone that's beginning or wanting to learn how to quilt, or even a novice quilter as myself. The first one, I would say a gift card. You can get for online at different quilt stores, or maybe even a local if they're local to you. That way they can go and pick out their fabrics for their their choice, or whatever that they may need at that time. These first items are necessities, but they're little, and sometimes we forget about them, or you're like, oh, they'll have those, but we always need to replace them. You can get several of these next items and put in a cute little basket and have, a basket with several items. So the first one is sewing machine needles. Now, if you know what brand of sewing machine that your friend has, you can get that specific brand of needles. If not, these are universal needles, the Smiths. And I really like using the 80/20. And so I recommend getting a package of just it's 80/12. And I recommend getting just a package of those. And then I also like to get the variety pack. This has a 70/10 to a 90/14, and this will do most of their quilting unless they're getting into thicker, heavier material, and then they may need a heavier one, but generally this will work. The next one is scissors. As quilters, we need regular craft scissors that can cut paper or anything else. And then you have to have fabric scissors that are just for fabrics. My family members know if you touch my fabric scissors, they're in big trouble. You can get all kinds of them. You can actually get packages of different size scissors. I like the longer blade when it comes to cutting fabric. You can, find some that you may like and you just think your quilting friend will like. We can always use scissors, and even as a novice we have to replace them because they do go dull. The next one is marking tools, and if you follow my channel for a while, you know I like the friction pins. You can get them in several different places. You can get like the click pins. These are pull off tops. The package I get comes with several different colors in them. I think there's like 5 friction pins. You can also get marking pencils. These are really good marking tools. You can also get them in a variety of pack. You can also find some water soluble pens or air pens. So a variety of marking tools will be a perfect gift. And a rotary cutter and extra blades. I just had to replace my 45mm blade or rotary cutter. That one just wasn't working anymore. So, even if they're been quilting for years, another rotary cutter will be perfect. And, I have 2 different sizes here. This is great for cutting smaller pieces or like on the go type thing, and then of course you're bigger, and then just some replacement blades for them. You can buy a package that has the blades and the cutter together. The next thing is Wonder Clips. These are my favorite, and they're great for thicker materials, or pinning your binding to it. I started out with a package, I think it was like 12 that I got from a box store, and then I was like, I need more than 12, and so I bought this, and it came in a cute little tin, has a little carry handle, really cute, easy to store. So some Wonder Clips would be great. And then you need some cutting mats, and you probably have seen mine. I'll kind of try to lift it up here a little bit. This is a small one that I have. I have a bigger one. You just want a cutting mat of various sizes that I recommend. So, you can cut if you have a small space or bigger materials. And you can also get a package of a cutting mat with the rotary cutter and some scissors as a starter package. So, that may be an idea. And we need snippets. We have a couple different styles. We like to get the ones that are fine tip. They're just small scissors to be able to get in and cut close to your threads off, close to your material, or off of your sewing machine. So some snippets, and then rulers. You need some rulers. Rulers come in a variety of shapes and sizes. I recommend a 6.5 by 24. I also recommend a square one. I have a 12.5 and a 6.5. And then, there are some packets that have a variety of shapes, or a variety of rulers. This one has 2, but you may want to talk with your person to see if they even have something like this. You don't want to duplicate if they already have it. But even rulers like this, we have to replace over time. The numbers start to wear off, and they get scratched up and nicked and dinged, so we always have to replace these every once in a while. And here is one that people don't think about. Seam rippers. They think it's just for sewing, that make garments, but we also need these. If our seam allowance ain't perfect or whatever, we have to rip out. Now, these are just some little ones that I had from when I sew up my own clothing, but you can get fancier ones online. Another thing are pins. Like, we always need pins. These pins have a flat head, and then we have pins with the balls on them. You can also buy glass head pins. They go dull. We shouldn't, but 90% of us quilters or sewers, we will sew and run over them, and so they may get hit by the needle and bend, and so we always need to replace our pins. We also need basting pins. They're a size 3 safety pin that have a little bend in them, and they're for basting our quilts together. So you can get a big package of pins. One thing that's not required to quilt, but I highly recommend, is a wool pressing mat. This is a larger size one. You can get smaller, but I do recommend a wool pressing mat. Ever since I started using it, I like to have it by my machine while I'm quilting, and it helps really crisp up those seams and lines, and it just is a wonderful tool to have. Then we need some thread, and you can buy them in bulk, like several pieces together. You can watch and get them on sale. We always have different colors, but if they're just starting out, I would go with like a gray, a cream, some black, white, before getting into the colored. but colored goes really, with when we start to quilt the top of our quilts. And another item I like to recommend is a color wheel. Now this is a fancier one that I kind of like. It gives, the color wheel on the back, but it shows, colorations, variations of the different colors, and it just makes a wonderful tool. But I think having a color wheel will help beginners out for picking out their fabric colors and making sure that they coordinate together. So that is a cool and nice tool to have. You can always get quilt patterns for your quilting friend, but once again, that's kind of like fabric. What you may like, they may not like. And so that's where I think a gift card would come in better. But you can, get patterns, maybe get some fabric that would go good with that pattern. If they're like a beginner, and then that way they can, learn and practice. You can also get quilt kits, which will have the pattern and the fabric. Sometimes it will have the backing fabric, not always. So you'll want to check that. But, once again, you may like that kit, but they may not. But your person that you're gifting to better than, anybody else. So another thing is a mini iron. It is great to have for working at, your station, so you don't have to keep getting up, back and forth for the small piecings that we do. A quilter's clapper, it's just a wood block. Those are real handy. It helps absorb the heat and keep it pressed flat. That's one thing that I'm asking for this year for Christmas and my birthday. And another thing, if they're designing their own quilts, I would recommend like a quilt planner or a quilt journal. It's where they can go in and put their materials, what they need, their steps, I guess, of how they put it together. And then it has a graph paper so they can design it out. You could also just go and get some colored pencils and some graph paper. And they can color out their design on the graph paper, and then just use maybe a notebook to keep the rest of the information together, and then they can staple it together. These are two handy tools that I use almost on every project. So now we're going to talk about some items that are more higher priced. Display racks. We need a place to be able to display our quilts. We made it's kind of like a ladder for my daughter, and that's where she displays some of her quilts. I have a shelf. I just have them sitting in. So it's something that they can be able to display their quilts on. Storage system. That is a huge thing. We need a place to be able to store our fabrics, our accessories, our tools. So having a functional storage unit is a great gift item. There is a program that I also use. It's called EQ8. I recommend something like that if they want to get into designing their own quilts and blocks. That would be a great program for them. There's novelties. There's fun items that you can get a quilting friend. There's novels. I did not know this until, I would say, about 5 years ago, that there's quilting novels out there. And so that was pretty interesting. There's also some that are like a mystery novel, and you have to read the book, but in the book it talks about how to make the quilt, and then you make a quilt, and then in your quilt it gives you clues, and then you have to solve the mystery. It's kind of fun, and so that may be something. You can get quilting mugs. There's mugs out there with quilting sayings and different things like that. So if they drink coffee or hot tea, that may be an idea. Quilt calendars. So So every month is a different quilt. It gives pictures, cutting materials, instructions, and that may be something to give them some inspiration every month. You can get quilt t-shirts that, once again, it has a cute saying on the front of it that is quilt related. A big thing that people are into right now are stickers. There are a lot of people that make quilting stickers, and so that can be an idea as well. So I hope I was able to inspire you, get your creative thinking of what to get a quilter's friend or someone that is beginning to quilt. Some of these items will be, like I said, perfect to put into a gift basket and get several of the small items so they will have them, especially the ones that are needing, that we have to replace multiple times throughout our journey of quilting. So until then, happy gifting and quilting, my friends.